Hey guys, Hutch here, and welcome to this week's Clone Wars Critics. Today with me, we once again have.
Dan Grievous.
And Grievous Verse 15 reporting.
Yes, and this week we will be talking about the episode of.
Tipping points.
Yeah.
Tipping Points. Yep, pretty much. So, with starting us off with what we liked this week is Dan. So go ahead, Dan.
Of course, thank you. Where do I begin? This episode is awesome. It's filled with to the brim with awesomeness, 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 and awesomeness. But of course, the most awesome thing ever are the droid gunships, the heavy missile platforms, or the Predators. They just look awesome. They sound amazing. They're like flying beasts. I love them. They made the episode for me, and basically they saved the arc almost for me. Um, all the rebels were fun. Everybody did their part. Of course, there were here and there some things, but everybody did their part. I like Steele's death, even though it was not the best. I mean, it's a very beautiful death, but um, I'll save that for later, about Steele's death. And what else? Jark still looks awesome. Andron still looks beautiful, especially in HD 180p. And what can I say? I like the logic how the Separatists did not lose and the Rebels did not win, but actually the Separatists just decided we do not want to waste money on this thing. We do not want to waste resources, money, and time on this endeavor. So goodbye. I like that because usually they're made like a total loss or just nothing at all, almost shown about it. But now they just said, get the forces to Agamar. Let's evacuate. It's pointless, and that's what I like about this episode. The end was nice, but it ended the so many good things that ended an arc that was so far in the beginning was not that good.
All right, go ahead, Corey.
Okay, I like this episode more than the first two episodes. Okay, I really like the character of Saw and Ahsoka too. Yeah, as I always say, it's getting really repetitive. You can pretty much predict that, but still, I really like Saw's role in this episode. Like, yeah, he's kind of like a war hero in this episode, as last episode he was too. Yeah, and he's blowing things up. That's really great. Michael Bay would be proud. And also, I like how the separatists are in this episode. Like, this is one of the episodes in which they are like feared, and we have a great reason to fear them. Like, the gigantic droid gunships, as Dan said before, were great, and they actually talked, which was pretty cool. Yeah, and Kalani, very interesting. Yeah, one of the only tactical droid survivors with TA-175 and K2B4. Yeah, hopefully, like he will make a return as he's the first super tactical droid we have seen. Yeah, and what else about this episode? It's not predictable. Like the first two episodes of the arc, you can pretty much predict what's going to happen. Like at some point, you can predict that they're going to get out of this, they're going to use what they learned. But in this episode, it's not very predictable. Like, as someone would predict, like Bontari, the old king, are going to get killed off, but they don't really do that. They instead kill Steela. Yeah, and that is a very very interesting twist. Yeah, and they also kill off the new king, King Rash. Yeah, and that was really surprising there. Yeah, so and that's what I liked about this episode. Like it portrayed the separatists in a menacing way, and it was surprising.
Yes, very good points. Very good points. I think this episode to me was I liked it. It was very good. A lot of action. Of course, Hondo's cameo, which was
Oh, we forgot about
fully supported. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I mean, of course, we have the wonderful scenery once more. We're getting more once again. We're back in the outskirts, but I mean, we're back and forth. But I mean, it was wonderful to see the artwork once more of the this magnificent planet. I think they've really. I mean, if there's one thing I can remember about this arc, it's definitely the whole scenery. I mean, just the environment of the planet of Onderon. So that's something. It's a huge plus for me once again, looking back on this arc. And I I really liked the use of I like the use of how their action was relatively balanced. You know, it wasn't like repetitive. You know, I mean, you guys mentioned that it was. I mean, and that's a good thing. It works as a standalone episode. I mean, I like this episode. I mean, not as much as the one before this one, but I still like it. It was really good, and the Sheila's death was kind of surprising. Like, well, it wasn't. It was kind of surprising. I mean, I saw the premise. It said that somebody was going to, so like someone wasn't going to make it or something, and so I knew somebody wasn't going to. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, it was great. The episode was great. The music was pretty good. I liked the music towards the end when she's, when it's her, when after she died and stuff.
Yes.
And it was, I like it. They're taking a new tone with it, and so far it really does help to clear out the thoughts of the first two. Yeah. So, all right. So now on to what we didn't like. Go ahead, Dan.
The thing is that with the droid gunships, the scenery, Kalani, the king, the music, the death scenes, the carnage. What did I not like? Oh yes, the only thing that I kind of did not like at first, I didn't think about it, but then I saw. Well, I discussed with a friend. Unlike other deaths in other arcs, Steela's death did not mean anything. Her death was just like she had to die. She died. I mean, her death, as Lux put it, did not bring the freedom of Onderon because when she died, the Separatists already had plans to leave, and by that point the gunships were all destroyed, and the droid armies were, were going to be called off anyway. So her death did not cause anything. If anything, it should have been, she should have died last episode on the steps, so her death could be seen by the thousands of people on the square, and she could, inspire like a martyr. But other than that, the several kinky, weird things because uh, both Ahsoka, I'm not sure where they're going with this because at one point she's like, in the beginning arc, she's like, "Oh, Lux," or something like that. But towards the end, she's acting like a big sister or something, and she's like punching him with that odd expression, and he has that really drunk expression where like, but overall, and the only thing I didn't like is that they killed off again a fun character again. Why did they have to kill King Sanjay Rash? That's what I didn't understand. I mean, fine, get rid of the evidence, but you could have just taken him with you. I mean, why did they have to kill him? I mean, it's like Dooku has this compulsive need to kill people who do a moderate good job against Jedi, and he kills them all. That's what. But those are just nitpicks, kind of.
All right then. Go ahead, Corey.
Okay. One of my problems with this episode. Okay, this is really predictable for me. You can all guess it. Voluntary. Yeah. Still, that is really predictable. Here are some of the unpredictable things. Okay. Sometimes I thought like the episode was going into the over the top factor, like with Steela's death, they were making it really dramatic. Yeah, I'm not having anything against it itself, but I can tell they were going like really slowly with that. They were gonna kill Steela on purpose there. Like they were just gonna like have her go slowly and then get shot. Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing. Like we know that Jedi can like easily pull people up, like we've seen in like landing at Point Rain whenever Ahsoka and Anakin like throw Rex into the air and then save him like moments before he hits the ground. Yeah, but still, like this scene, she goes really slowly until like the droid gun like hits her, and then she falls down to her death. Yeah, that was like kind of over the top for me. Yeah, and like another thing, like the conclusion of this arc. Uh, why? Okay, and the entire reasoning for this arc was to like make Onderon join the Republic. Fine, but still, they kind of like hypocrite themselves. Like at the beginning, they say like Onderon's going to be independent after the 70s are gone, but they decide to join the Republic anyway. Was that the entire point of it? Did they establish it before? They might have in the council scene, but did they establish any interest in it, like going through the arc? Did anyone even mention that they wanted to join the Republic? I think that just like, and that was just wrong for me. Okay, that was pretty much like all the rage I can bring in here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the dislikes for this episode for me, it's I don't know. I guess what I didn't like was the fact that again this episode is a conclusion to this arc, but you know, I there are parts of it where I just feel like they could have done a little more. Like, I mean, if I'm not really sure how to put this. What I don't okay, what I don't like to see is when when there's a story like this, and you know you have. I guess this is kind of. I guess I'm kind of picking at the whole arc here, but when you have a whole story like this, and this episode was pretty good, but I expected it to be more of like why did they rush to put the whole like this whole action sequence towards the last two instead of the first two? I don't understand that, and you know I feel like a lot of it really was pushed towards the end, and some of it felt kind of rushed. I don't know. I'm not rushed, but kind of like they put it all in just to pound in all the action in one sequence. So I'm not really sure. They should have spread it out more. I would have liked balance in this arc.
Yes,
So
that's true.
it was very imbalanced, and I think you know the death sequence. I wasn't. I mean, this is kind of a I think she was fallen as another victim of these characters who were created in these arcs, and then by the end of the arc, you know that they're gonna get killed. She's fallen. I mean, we've seen this countless times where you create these characters where maybe you could see them. You know, it'd be great to maybe see them again in another episode. You know, cameo. A lot like how Hondo's gone through, and you know, we like characters like that. But when you have characters, you make them, and then you just kill them off in that arc. I mean, I don't really understand why they just make them specifically for a specific arc and then never use them again. I mean, there are certain cases where that's okay, but when you make a character that substantially important to that group of people, well, I don't know. It doesn't seem to. I don't know. I guess I don't buy it. Oh. Anyway, so now the overall thoughts on the episode.
Well, overall, it was a really awesome episode. It's just for me, it was a 9.5, almost a 10 personally. Because I'm sorry, yes, there were some nitpicks like killing off a character, but they've done this stupid BS before. They've killed O.C. Sobek, they have killed Riff Tamson, Krell, and I'm gonna die. And so many other characters that were really fun, and they were just killed off for the shark value and almost nothing else, instead of just developing them more and making a bigger character roster that could appear more, instead of just having these four main idiots appear constantly, because I would love to see more episodes about these other characters, so I could, get more attached to them personally. For instance, but overall, the episode was amazing. The gunships, the visuals, the music, it was just so perfect. Of course, this episode being as perfect as it is a little brought down if you have to judge down the entire arc as a whole. It's really kind of it's really kind of like how to say it. Its quality is overlooked if you have to judge with the other 3 episodes and the first 2 episodes that are really boring. And that's like you have to sit through. It's still awesome, but you have to wait through the boring stuff to get to the awesome stuff. But when you get to the awesome stuff, which begins at the steps during the execution of the last episode, then everything becomes awesome. But you have to have the same amount of time spent in waiting. So yeah, awesome, 9.5 out of 10 for the awesome tipping points with the droid gunships. Woo!
All right. Go ahead, Corey.
Okay. I like this episode more than the first 2 episodes of this arc. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's better than the third episode in the arc, but still, like, it's better than like the okay factor. Like, it has a lot of great action in it. Yeah, that's pretty much the main part of the episode, and it has some like clever things in there, like Hondo's cameo, which I forgot to mention earlier, and yeah, and like we're finally like put to debate on like how those fan couple things go on into wars on like certain websites. Yeah, like the final debate has been made, but then it was like killed off. But still, yeah, like it's an episode that's like I like. Yeah, I like it, but still, like I know it has its problems. Like it can be over the top at times, and yeah, but still, it's really clever whenever it wants to be, and it has a lot of great action in it, plus some really good characterization towards Saw and Ahsoka. Yeah, so that's pretty much my overall thoughts on this episode.
Yeah, and mine are basically what I've said before. I think this episode was great. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I liked the third one, but it's definitely one of the best out of the arc. And I wish they just hadn't, I wish they had spread this action out a bit more into the other two, so it would look good. So
True.
overall, I think I give this episode probably maybe about an 8. I think 8. So yeah, that's my overall opinion. So anyway, now we have additional comments. Do you guys have anything extra you'd like to say about it or discuss the
About
arc?
the episode, or the way that this arc has, influenced us, basically.
Yeah, the arc too.
Well, I have more to say about the arc because I'm really content and happy, and I've basically, said what I have to say about this episode because it's awesome. It was really fun, and it was exactly what I expected. But in the end, how are we gonna remember Onderon? That's the problem, because yes, we spent 4 episodes on that planet, but in the end, what are we gonna remember the most, except for the gunships and a little Hondo and the scenery? Because aside from the soft war and tipping points, Frontrunners and A War on Two Fronts were kind of really forgettable. Nothing really happened that we have not seen before. And the problem with this is, again, the pace. Because, again, as you said it, and as if we have already said it 100 times, if all this awesome action was a little pushed forward, like, as I said, put merge the first 2 episodes to have an awesome ending with the whole generator exploding and Rash saying this can work for us, and then the next episode, have all the events of the soft war, and also the effects of the generator being, exploded, and then have this, and it would flow much better because all the stupid things would be cut out. Because there are a lot of pointless scenes in this arc that just feel stupid, especially like scenes like this needs a woman's touch, or the pointless discussion like, yeah, but we need to fight in the mountains. Well, yes, we don't need you to reaffirm that. Or like the King constant speech like, it's the will of the people, and even said it again. It's like, don't overdo it. Just the pace was the biggest enemy of this arc, not the separatist, in my opinion. The pace was actually the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. It can get repetitive at times in this arc.
Yeah, and I mean, I compare it to. I know this sounds kind of weird, but like when I make a series or something, like the most recent one I've made, it's I've noticed this is from just studying it. What people as they watch the episodes and stuff. Like one time, I tried doing something similar to this arc, where I had an episode where it wasn't intentional. I had to split it in two parts, but the first part was really it wasn't intentionally like this, but it had nothing but mostly talking and build up and stuff like that. And I noticed that was one of the most disliked of that series. And then when I had the second part of that arc in, everybody loved it. It's because of all the action and stuff like that. It was saved for that part. And then the next time I tried balancing the whole thing out, and it just flowed perfectly. So this ultimately, yes, this arc right here. It needs better pacing, and if they want to if they look at it logically, look at the view. I mean, the way people look at how they would watch this episode and what would they find memorable about it. I mean, I kind of just wish if they would see these things and then maybe look at it and think about how they can improve with it. And I mean, they have improved in several aspects since season 3. I mean,
yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, several aspects. I mean, not in everything, but there are places. I mean, they've come to slight realization that there are things that they need to work on slightly. Now, I mean, some of it I feel that they're maybe being a little too prideful about it. They're like, oh, we don't need to change that because they like their style. Like, for example, keeping Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka as the main.
Well, that's the politics of the Clone Wars. But the thing is, you're right. But people say, and I do see it, that sometimes, the Clone Wars does take into account what the people think and say. But sometimes I think they just are really ignorant about the situation, or they appeal just to a really, really, really little amount of people. And that's the problem. Because if they, for instance, this is just a thought, but if they had, for instance, from time to time, because the Clone Wars has an official page now, there's a Dave Filoni's page, there are all these other creators' pages that are connected to Clone Wars. If there is at least a survey once or twice, even once a month, to ask you, what's your favorite arc? And first have all these questions and comments, and then have somebody to read and, basically capitalize on the things that people like and dislike about this. That's like a referendum, because if the problem with Lucas's handling of the situation, everything is that because his politics is like, I control this, I make this, you like it or you do not like it. If you don't like it, hit the road. If you like it, good, I have money.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the problem. I mean, Lucas has shown, for instance, in the past 2 days that he's charitable. He's going to donate most of the things that he received from the deal with Disney. But that doesn't stop the fact that he kind of has a control freak syndrome, which doesn't allow, much feedback to be taken in, because he could benefit a lot and the show can benefit a lot if there was a lot of feedback. Because if I am not wrong, usually feedback is, if there is any feedback, it's usually taken from the big people who interviewed him, or people who watch the show but are like in the in crowd, like the Force cast, those bums. If you ask them, they would like nothing more but 24/7 Anakin episodes and nothing else. Not even Ahsoka, just Anakin, 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 till you run it to the ground that people will just want to uh, stop watching the show, in my opinion. Because there's a fair amount of Anakin that you could take. Like, for instance, I didn't mind Anakin the first season or the second season, but after the second season, he just got super annoying. And because he was overused a lot.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And
It's all about, just balancing it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? We have this conversation every week, but you know, in the end, we just gotta keep watching. I mean, I'm looking forward very much so for this next arc coming up of the Young
Yes.
Ones.
So am I. It's going to be like a major fanboy moment for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I'm gonna be really excited not only for the characters, but it looks like the places that they're going to, and the stories they're gonna get into. We might see. I mean, by the looks of things, by the looks of these episodes, hopefully we'll be getting something to where they can be standalone episodes once again,
Yeah.
and we can enjoy them, for what they are.
Yeah, hopefully I'm going to like really love this arc because like I'm a huge Ahsoka fan and this is like another Ahsoka arc and it will focus a lot on her hopefully and like it'll show how she has learned from the war and how she's passing it on to the younger generation. I'm going to love that. Yeah, plus like it's going to be very interesting, I see. Yeah, we're going to go into detail with the construction of lightsabers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Indeed.
they're opening up a new door to what we haven't exactly. I mean, we've read about in the books and comics, but we finally get to see unfold.
Well, one thing I want to say about the next episode alone. I'm not sure how they're gonna do the whole thing with, Ilum and the building of the lightsabers, but I'm a 2000, and 3 Clone Wars fanatic, and there was a really, 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 really well done scene with Luminara and Barriss Offee
Oh yes, yes.
on Ilum, and it was about the construction of a lightsaber, and it was really subtle, and it was really, like philosophical, like the heart of the Jedi is it was well done, and the problem is that I've heard that this arc, it's odd, but it's gonna feature the fact that the original lightsaber crystals before being put into a lightsaber are white. They have no color, and only when the Jedi touches them or uses them or puts them in the lightsaber, then the color is created, which makes no stupid sense.
What?
Because yes, that's
I'm
what I said.
confused now. I'm confused. Like,
Tell
so,
me about it, because I've spent a decade playing Star Wars games that most of them have things where they say, well, like the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, there's an entire mission on Dantooine where you have to collect color crystals and other crystals for your lightsaber, and they all have different names, different specifics, and different abilities that could add to your lightsaber. Why does it have to be like well, it's like these lightsabers are gonna be like blank lists of paper, you can just put anything on them. I
yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like something we have learned for years. Like, it's like something we can consume. Like, we can consider. Like, it's something we can just assume it just happens because it's the color of the crystal. Like, in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, whenever, like, Anakin turns to the dark side, his lightsaber is still blue until he becomes Darth Vader, like, with the suit and everything. Yeah, like if this goes by like someone touches it and the color goes by like who the person is, why didn't it go red whenever Anakin was a Sith? Like well,
Indeed.
Yeah.
in the Force Unleashed game, there's also a feature where you can change the
Yeah,
crystal in your lightsaber like to
exactly.
a different color. Like if you gather colored crystals throughout the mission, you can like change the color of your lightsaber.
Yeah, and the different colored crystals. Yeah, yeah, and even with the merchandise, like I would, it wasn't me, but a friend of mine once had got one of those lightsabers, one of those build your old lightsaber kits back in the day, and
Hmm.
they had the crystals, they weren't like white or something like that, and then you put it in and it has a certain program and it changes the color. No, they were all various different colors. I mean, there's nowhere in the canon where I've ever seen that it actually you touch it and it turns into the color.
They said something about attuning to the user or something like that. I don't know. It's gonna be in the trivia. It's gonna be explained in the trivia for the episode.
I guess we'll see. Yeah, but I mean, either way, maybe that. I mean, that again, even in this instance, for that arc, it's a detail, and maybe it won't bother us if we
Yeah.
see it, and it may look better. Who knows? Who knows? We'll just see tomorrow. But
Dude.
yep. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's pretty much about it for today. This is Hutch signing out.
Okay.
Dan Grievous saying goodbye.
And Grievous Prince 15 saying, "May the force be with you all."
All right. Have a good week, everyone.
Okay.